So, welcome everybody. I am here with Julie Diamond. What a great name.
Thanks.
It's like a movie star name or something. So, Julie Diamond is here because this is not my expertise and I get lots of questions, and this definitely is your expertise. And it is ADHD Awareness Month. So, we really thought this was a good time to get together, talk about the neurodiverse brain. And I think this information will help everybody. But when, as a parenting coach, when I'm dealing with families that are dealing with neurodiverse children, the struggle is just different. The struggle
Mhm.
is real and it can be different. It's a different level of parenting. So that's why I wanted to invite you here to kind of say what are we looking for? How can we end some of the nagging, the lack of motivation? You feel like you're just constantly spinning, and then is your child slowly falling behind as the adults are trying to figure it all out? So, welcome, Julie. Tell us a
Thank you,
little bit
Michelle.
about yourself.
I am a teacher in Ontario. I'm also certified and I've taught in British Columbia as well. I started Diamond Teachers Group in 2011 after teaching for a bit, after going to Teachers College as well. Just with the idea of having only certified teachers as tutors and having only one-on-one tutoring. So our teachers who tutor, they are able to kind of develop that relationship with their students, learn about them, and tailor their sessions to not only what they're doing in class and aligning it with, kind of that classwork, but also to the students' individual needs as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot. And really, probably why so many children struggle because the classroom does not allow for that one-on-one care. And if it does, it's probably interrupted. And then you've
Mhm.
got all the things happening in a classroom. So is it lack of motivation in kids, or is there something else going on? What are the concerns that you see come up when you've got a parent that is like, this child, I'm nagging constantly. What's
Yeah.
really behind it?
Um, I mean, kind of like everything with kids, it's, one size doesn't fit all, one kind of reason doesn't fit every student. So there could be a host of different reasons. What I find really helps is just having conversations, not only with your child's teacher,
Yeah.
but with your child themselves. See what's going on. Is there a lack of motivation? Is there more, of a deeper mental health issue?
Mhm.
Is there something maybe that they're just not feeling smart? They don't have the confidence to believe that they can. It's really about just involving your child in that initial conversation to figure out the root cause, what's going on, to then be able to devise and conquer a plan together. And
Yeah.
I find the biggest thing that you can do is at any age, involving your child in that plan to make them feel like they're included, that they have a hand in it. So when I hear parents talk about a homework battle,
Yeah.
it's really, have you ever talked to them about, what time of day after school works for you for like half an hour of just learning time? You don't even have to call it homework time, but just learning time. And I find involving them in the planning of that after school, whether it's chore time or homework or learning time, it can kind of give them accountability when it comes time to that time of day.
Yeah, yeah. I think those are all great points. What you mentioned, I notice a lot in my parent coaching when you're sitting down and
Mhm.
you say to a child, "What's going on with school? Why don't you want to do homework?" And then
Mhm.
it's like, "I don't know, I don't know," or
Yeah.
like, "I just don't feel like it. This is not something that I value." So I know for
Mhm.
myself, like understanding that children, especially with ADHD, are more sensitive. So they're
Mhm.
more sensitive to rejection. And if they don't
Mhm.
get something instantly,
Yep.
it's like, I can't do it. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm not doing it. And I don't like the way that this feels. So
Yep.
when you're sitting down to try to do homework with your child, it's one thing when you're the teacher or you're the
Mhm.
tutor. Um, you've your energy is probably different. You're calmer. You haven't been with the child for days and
Yeah.
months and years, right?
Yeah.
So where do you see a shift for children when they go home? So they work with you and then they're working at home for homework.
Mhm.
How do you get a parent to take this information, to take this idea of like understanding what's behind it, but they still need to get their homework done, right? So how do we
Yeah.
make it less painful at home?
I would definitely say, I mean, be easy on yourself too, because we have a
Mm,
lot of parents come to us and family members come to us saying, I just can't get my child to sit down with me to do homework. They're going to see you as their family member first. And to kind of save that relationship, like have that where you can kind of make it fun. And with kids who are neurodiverse, especially with ADHD, I would say shorter sessions with like a timer is
yeah,
key.
yeah,
Sitting down for hours at a time, you're going to lose them 15 minutes in, and then they're going to start the resentment, and they're going to start the battle is going to start. So I would say a timer is a really great tool. A
yeah,
to-do list
yeah,
for a neurodiverse child is also great because again, it makes them feel like they're in control. They also know when the next break is. A little mini, like go and get a snack, 2-minute break. You could do maybe a YouTube video where it's like some sort of something active to get like their jitters out
yeah.
is also very helpful. Anything to kind of, I find is more productive to do shorter 15 minutes and then 3-minute break is goes a lot longer than like that hour long homework battle.
Yeah. There's a
Mhm.
lot of planning, a lot
Yeah.
of patience involved.
Yes.
And again, you're helping by saying, I'm going to meet you in the middle. Because if you're
Hmm.
too rigid and the child is too rigid, then we have lots of explosions, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, okay, so if I think about the neurodiverse brain,
Hmm.
especially executive functioning skills, if we think about barriers, so
Hmm.
when we're looking at a child that is struggling, of course, maybe some kids come to you before there's a learning diagnosis, like sorry, my brain, LD,
Yeah.
learning.
Learning, I like to call it learning difference, but
Learning difference. Yes,
yeah.
yes, a learning
But
difference.
learning disability is what it's the
That is
labeling of
okay.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the word. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't think I was meant to say it.
Yeah.
So learning difference. So we've got a learning difference, plus we've got the ADHD, and maybe there isn't a learning difference, but because of their ADHD or there's other struggles,
Hmm.
how do you take those things into account to look at a child to say, okay, your working memory is an issue here, your
Hmm.
focus, your organization. Then we've got the emotions because they get
Yeah.
stressed out. Like, how do you, as a professional, look at a child to say, these are all the components that we're trying to figure out in a session to make it a little easier and remove some of the barriers?
I mean, it definitely doesn't happen in a session. It's
Right.
definitely something where it's a kind of learning as you go.
Mhm.
I think reaching out to the parent, seeing, okay, what are triggers? What are things
Yeah.
that maybe you find is helpful at home? We like to reach out to the classroom teacher
Yeah.
as well, because especially if it's mid-year, they've
Yeah.
been with them, looking at their IEP or IPP to
Mhm.
see, what place like things that they have in place, whether it be environmental or accommodations to support them. And then it's just having conversations with them, seeing what their interests are, integrating that. Maybe where I'm finding that they're struggling, it's like, okay, you didn't remember what we did last session. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to spend more time on review, for example, at the beginning of our sessions. So it's really just trial and error and using other people, other adults who have been involved in the child's learning or life
Yeah.
to help us kind of navigate that.
Yeah. And I think
Mhm.
this just goes back to this is a different level of parenting
It is.
where you're
Yeah.
not just saying, I don't know,
Mhm.
and then also like if I'm sitting down and what is this new math that we're learning and you want me to help you? Like, there's
Yes.
no way. And
Yeah.
then I have to focus on the fact that, geez, like, you don't remember what we did. And then I'm thinking,
Mm.
geez, this is hopeless. Like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Like, and what are those things that you learned in tutoring? How do we support you with this? What is the teacher saying? And incorporating those things to help a child. And
Mhm.
what does happen when they do come back to you and the parents are like, homework is a miss. Like, we
Yeah.
just are not, like, they come to tutoring, that's once a week, twice a week, but
Mhm.
in the in-betweens, it's a battle.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to hear it from us. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I would say definitely kind of the difference between what we really try to do as teachers versus strictly homework help is we really try to teach the student tools to navigate their, whether it's an LD or whether it's ADHD,
Mm,
um, to help them understand what type of learner they are. I
yeah,
think that the whole idea is empowering them
yeah,
because we don't want them to be continue to be relying on their teacher or their tutor or their parent to be able to feel like they can do something, like they need us to do something,
right.
whether it be remember an appointment, whether it be remember their bag or
Yeah,
their homework at school. We want them to and there are a lot of different tools on their phone or whether it be like online that we can help them. It's, reminders, setting reminders on their phone, having that routine where they know they need to have that timer beside them, for example, or they need to have that reminder to pack their bag the night before. But eventually, kind of over time, making sure that if they get in that routine, that they can do it themselves.
okay.
So
Yeah,
that's kind of the idea is just teaching them how that, yes, you have a different brain,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that just means that you just have to navigate and go about things differently than maybe
yeah.
someone, that doesn't have ADHD.
Right. More
Yeah.
structure, more
Mhm.
systems, more reminders, and a lot more
Mhm.
patience. Also, you mentioned something, and I'm like, I don't know what this actually means, but you were
Mhm.
saying how they learn. So now, what is the difference? Like, what are the different ways kids learn?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say there are kids that, and even as adults, like the way that things just stick in your brain or the way things resonate, it all comes down to connecting it with your life. If you can see how it plays a part in your life, whether it's a book you've read or a movie you've seen before, whether it's a real life experience that you've had that you can connect that to it, whether it's something you're interested in and you can say, oh, okay, like when, I'm looking at like, something I can relate it to racing, which I really love doing, or Minecraft, which I really love doing. So it's really about learning how like what you're interested in and your experiences to date
Yeah,
and then being able to kind of weave it in because that creates deeper learning
yeah,
experiences but then it's also doing it in creative ways that worksheets may work for some kids to
yeah,
be able to write the steps down but maybe bringing it to life and having it connect on a deeper level where maybe they use math to teach Jays stats, and then the next time they're watching the Jays win
yeah,
the World Series,
yeah,
they can then go, okay, like I know how to divide
yeah,
and find out a batting percentage. And
yeah.
that's similar to, finding a fraction in this
Mhm.
example of like,
Okay.
when they're learning like fractions for math. So it's just about being able to, connect it to their life.
Yeah, and that is like motivator, right? Because I think when we
Hmm.
think motivator, it's like a reward or something like that, but it's actually like makes it exciting or you have to be
Yes.
creative.
Yes.
I mean, the motivator might be when you get this done, and then you can go and do something for fun, but
Yep.
this doesn't work for a child that's struggling to be like, I don't even know like where to get
Yeah.
started or this is hard, so let alone getting through it, right?
Yeah.
So I like this piece, and I think what I was thinking of too is if I think about motivating, like when I'm doing parent coaching and you've got a teenager that's really resistant, but they really want that job, right? So they want
Hmm.
to go and they want to work at the coffee shop, but they don't want to go to math class, but they need math to be able to understand how to give change back. And,
Yep.
those kinds of things are going to help in that job. So
Hmm.
that is the motivator to go to class. It doesn't help if they're struggling, but like
Hmm.
with doing the math, but it is that motivator to be like, how does this all connect?
Hmm.
And I think what you're saying is the thing that I have been denying is that you don't really need math in life. So you're saying you kind of need it.
Yeah,
Need it in
as a
life.
math teacher, that hurts my heart a little bit when I hear people say that. But really, when you're looking at individual units of math, yes,
Yeah.
maybe not for all jobs, this type of math, but it really is critical thinking,
It is
right?
critical
At
thinking.
the
And
end
of
of the
course, I'm
day,
teasing. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just
At the
teasing.
end of the day, it's critical thinking, problem
Yes.
solving, and that's what I say to students. They're like, Miss Diamond, why do I need this? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe not figuring this particular,
Mhm.
especially when we get into high school,
Yeah.
and more higher level math,
Yeah.
but it's about how do you approach a problem?
Yeah.
How do you then break it down and
Yeah.
go step by step by step? That
I
is a
love
life
that.
skill
I love
that,
that
math
perspective.
has that.
Yeah. And I think also it's about scaffolding because they just
Yes.
don't understand why do I need this base layer here? Like,
Yeah.
let's just put the roof on, and it's like
Mhm.
actually there's so many more layers. And if without this layer, it can be really hard. And
Mhm.
again, back to that emotional piece where I was talking where you got super emotional kids, they don't want to do this. And it's just validating to say this doesn't seem like a lot of fun. But
Mhm.
what is fun is taking some of this information and we can go and bake some cookies, or
Yeah.
we can check out the Jays stats and see,
Yeah.
who's doing well and who's struggling a little bit, and how do we figure that out so it
Mhm.
makes it a little more fun. I really love that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and it just adds to my second question, which you've answered very well. Why would I need a tutor? Because one, I am not creative like this. I do not have a math brain, so I wouldn't even
Mhm.
think to check out the batting average or the stats
Yeah.
for, a baseball team like or a baseball player, which is for a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
Why else would a family say, okay, we need some extra help here for tutoring? What would that look like?
Yeah, I would definitely say that what a tutor teacher can bring to a family is just saving your peace
Mhm.
at the end of the day, and your relationship. In a lot of ways, the battle can cause a lot of stress
Yep.
for families, and removing that and having you go back to being the parent or the family member
Yeah.
and not, the tutor and the teacher as well at home.
Yeah.
Um, that helps kind of having a third party come in whose role is only that. And that can help. Also, if your child is neurodivergent or on an IEP, that could be something where maybe understanding the strategies and the tools to navigate, breaking through that wall of resistance or helping your child feel confident. Like, how do we bring that back? And also, there may be students that, you may have learned math a certain way, and you're teaching it in a way that they're like, no, my teacher didn't teach it like that. And they want it taught a certain way.
Yeah.
We can then understand a little bit more that way.
Mhm.
But like you said as well, the creativity, being able to say, okay, this is the math, and then how can we relate it to your interests?
Yeah.
That could be something as well that we can, help with. So yeah, there are a lot of
Yeah.
different reasons that tutors can help.
Yeah, and I think that's
Mhm.
why, you started your business because you are a teacher. You can maybe see how the system isn't helpful for all kids, but how do you build this skill up and help them to transfer? Because the thing is what you're talking about is very like emotionally draining things that doesn't motivate a child to want to do homework, to work with their parents, to kind of figure this out. Some kids
Mhm.
get loud, some kids shut down and they avoid, and we don't find out that they're failing until a month before, the end of the semester or something like that. Like that can cause a lot of unhealthy cycles. And
Yep.
you're saying, let us come in. Let us take a look, whether it's you or somebody else, but it's just
Mhm.
saying we don't have to continue this way and structure and systems need to be put in. And
Mhm.
do you want to be, that stat of like, the parent, like if, what was that meme that was going around about like if you haven't been screamed at your dad, the kitchen table, like doing your math homework, like did you really grow
Did
up in
you
the
live?
80s?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that kind of thing where it's just
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's not fun. And then I want to avoid it and it doesn't end up building skills, right?
Well, and especially going back to, with this idea of wanting to be perfect, with kids with ADHD, not
Yeah.
wanting to even try because they're
Yes.
not perfect at it right away. They also may be struggling for you as their parent or their family member to see them making
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah.
That may be something that they just don't ever want like in their minds
Yeah.
disappoint you
Yeah.
because they're not perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas a third person coming in and they can be able to create that without even realizing, but they can feel more safe
Yeah.
and open to making
Yeah.
mistakes with this third party versus their family member. So that's another reason too. Like
Yeah.
just having a different relationship, a different rapport can help your
Mhm.
child understand that mistakes are part of learning and they can feel
Yeah.
safer to do so. And
Yeah.
maybe with somebody who's, their job is that, for example.
I love that. And what a gift we're giving a child to be able to say, I can't support you in this way. I see that you're struggling and your struggle
Mhm.
is valid. And let's
Mhm.
figure this out together.
Mhm.
Pull in the teacher, see, the teacher tutor, work with the child as well, because in those moments when you're saying, what is going on? And they're saying, I don't know, that can
Yeah.
be frustrating too, right?
Mhm.
Focusing on what is going well. I'm noticing this topic and this topic is okay, but what seems to
Mhm.
get you into trouble is your lack of time management. And then you think that it's going to be harder than it really is. So maybe this
Mhm.
is something also that we can address, with the teacher that's the tutor,
Mhm.
and us as a family saying we need a better structure and a
Mhm.
different way to like sit down to do homework. They may need to be active first, then sit
Mhm.
down, then use those strategies that you were using to take a break instead of having an hour of screaming and yelling, that we
Yes.
let them kind of release some of that energy, sit down with a timer because
Mhm.
all kids with with ADHD, I'm sure, like I'm never, not all, but like the time management is an issue or the time
Yeah.
blindness. So seeing that analog clock, like you were saying, like so you can
Mhm.
see that timer, they can see the passage of time and it's not going to be the
Mhm.
end. I'm going to be here forever. It's actually
Yes.
been 5 minutes, that kind of piece too. So I
Yeah.
love that. You're kind of
Yeah.
making it fun, kind of really seeing the child. Yeah.
Hmm.
I do have some questions for
Sure.
you. So one parent was asking about for the littles.
Yep.
How do you transition to school? How do you prepare a child that is going to start school? What are those things to be looking out for and how to help them with that transition?
Yes. So is this going into, say, grade one or kindergarten?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I would say routine, having that
Mhm.
routine if they haven't been involved in a daycare beforehand,
Yeah.
getting them into the routines. Sharing is a
Yeah.
big thing too, because in kindergarten, especially if they are going into kindergarten, play-based learning, the centers, a big thing about, sharing with others, being able to sit for, I would say, 4 minutes. If they're 4 years old, I like to say 1 minute per every year that they are. Um, So just really that's would be the best thing. It's not mandatory that they're reading or can you can work on letters with them. That would be great. Being able to write their name, but that's again that comes it's like riding a bike. It comes later and earlier for different students.
Okay.
But I would really just say those routines and the idea of cooperative play.
Okay. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, very good. I'm just looking for the other questions here. Um, okay. So, how can I help my child transition from elementary school where there was a lot of support to high school where there is no support?
Yes, that can be definitely overwhelming if, especially for the child. Hopefully their social support,
Mhm.
whether they have friends going to the same high school. Hopefully, they have someone, at least one friend that they're transitioning with. I think that's key, especially at that age. It's such a difficult age.
Yeah,
Support goes a long way,
yeah,
social
yeah,
support. Um, I would say as well. Um, Anything you can do to introduce them ahead. So what we do is we have this like transition over like it's called a summer bridge program
yeah,
where our grade 8 students are getting support over the summer with if they are being reviewing things from grade 8, maybe giving them the time to review and close any learning gaps from grade 8 so they're feeling confident going in to grade 9. That would be great if there's something that not just with us, but if there's something you could do with them at home as well, just
yeah,
kind of keeping the learning going.
yeah.
Um, that's basically what I would say. I mean, social is just such a huge part at that age.
Mm.
So if they have that, I feel that would be a big part. And then just making sure that you keep the learning going through the summer,
Yeah,
whatever that may be.
yeah,
But yes, that's what I would say. Keep the confidence up if you can. So if they're involved in any extracurriculars or if they have any hobbies
yeah,
that they're maybe trying new things over the summer, that I know it can be a really big thing for
yeah.
kids' confidence if they're trying new things, completing tasks, that sort of thing, as well as the just social piece. So,
Yeah,
mhm,
for sure. I think too, like where because I deal with a lot of anxiety and children with mental illness, different things going
mhm,
on, that all the things that you're saying, having that bridge of like a friend in a class can be helpful.
mhm,
And I know that some kids are a little resistant to seeing the guidance counselor or going to, a special classroom, the
mhm,
student success areas is what they're calling them in the high
mhm.
schools around here. And, can they get there ahead of time? And they're setting this up
Hmm.
ahead of time and making those connections. And sometimes it really is jumping in with both feet with staff to be like,
Hmm.
we need some support here. I had one child that was like, hadn't been in school avoidant for numerous years, and getting back into it was really tough, just dealing with
Hmm.
all the overwhelm, all the people, and then having gaps in their education and just saying, like, I have never even seen French and now I have to do French, right? Like,
Yeah.
or like, how am I going to catch up? How am I going to stay? And I think just connecting with your child that they're not feeling overwhelmed, that they
Hmm.
do have those things that make them feel good, like a friendship and joining a club or something that's kind of getting them to
Hmm.
school, and thinking about, are we looking at making sure they get all of their 4 courses? Or are we saying, would 3 be better?
Hmm.
Are we looking at a summer school so we can kind of spread this out a little bit? And I think it's looking at the child where they are mentally, developmentally, socially. And
Hmm.
again, what you were talking about with the body-mind connection, like that when you are doing things that make you feel good, your body is feeling good, that when you get into those stressful situations and you have people around you that are wrapping around you and there are
Hmm.
steps forward, that we're just readjusting how we look at things, and the end game will be the same. It might just take you a little bit longer.
I like that you're saying that because also there is always the option of doing summer school.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of school boards, they offer to grade 8 students, they can get their grade 9 gym before
Hmm.
they even set foot in high school.
Yeah.
So that could be an option as well. If I know for many students, gym is a big pain point,
Hmm.
and is something that makes it creates a lot of anxiety for some students.
Yeah.
It's not as exciting for, it could be a student's favorite subject and it could be their absolutely worst subject
Yeah.
that they dread. So that could be something. Or maybe it's another course that they know that maybe having the 4 or 5 weeks with a smaller class during summer school, they might be more successful than having a full course load.
Yeah.
So I would say if your child's going back to what we said in our first discussion,
Yeah.
talking to your child, seeing how they feel, because this them kind of losing out on those supports might be something that's, a concern for you. Are they worried about it? Are they concerned about it? Is this something that's creating anxiety? If it is, maybe you do a walkthrough the week before school. I know a lot of, high schools offer that,
Yeah.
and you see where is the bathroom, where is the student
Yeah.
success area, you
Yeah.
know, where are your classrooms,
Yeah.
where's your locker? That kind of can ease a lot of kids'
Yeah.
minds as
Yeah.
well. Hmm.
A really great point, even for the littles, right? Because
Hmm.
they do that, they incorporate that, but they may need a little bit more, or go and
Hmm.
play in the playground to
Hmm.
say, okay, I've got some fun memories here. I've been in this area. I know what's going
Yes.
on, especially a high school. That can be really tough. If you've got older siblings, that could be helpful.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just, what I'm hearing is wrapping around, communicating, and being creative with how you do things, and just seeing the child.
Hmm.
And that can be really tough sometimes when our children are very emotional. We're very
Hmm.
rational adults. So that is a really great thing to think about.
Hmm.
I just got one more question, and
Sure.
we are streaming live, so there's no questions at this point, but maybe
Okay.
people will be able to answer later. Um, where was it? Should I be concerned about my 8-year-old not reading yet? She has a 504 and an IEP. She also goes to a special school. So I'm assuming this is an American question. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I would definitely say that all kids learn at their own pace.
yeah.
I've been very successful with kids who weren't really reading until they were 9 or 10.
Oh,
I mean, it's definitely something that having the IEP or the special education plan in
yes.
place is great. I would encourage you maybe to revisit and talk about. It's hard for me to answer that question without working with the student
Of course.
directly.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, are they able, like, where are they at? Are they reading at below grade level, or are they not able to read, any letters,
mhm,
like letter sounds? So it really depends on where they're at, that I would encourage them perhaps to talk to their child's teacher
yeah,
and see what the concerns are, if any,
yeah.
and what grade level they are able to
Sure.
read at.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
Well,
and
good
make sure
question.
that the right plan is in place to help them be successful.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And then how do we bridge that to home? Are we doing anything else?
Exactly.
And I think probably what is coming up for a parent that is asking a question like this is like maybe some shame around, like, should I ask? Like, is this a problem? I'm
Hmm.
asking this question, but what happens if I do, and I do ask that question in the school, or I have a meeting and they kind of tell me how far behind my child is, or is this hopeless? Is there actually, like, what does this mean if my child is behind now? What does this mean for their future? So many, like, this is what I do in the parent coaching, is I see,
Hmm.
these emotions that come out in
Of
behaviors,
course.
or like the
Hmm.
way we respond to things. And when we address some of that in a parent, and you put it so nicely to be like, what are we looking at here? How far
Mhm.
behind? What is the plan? And also, am I altering my expectations? Not lowering, but altering. And what does this look like? And how can we continue building and scaffolding, especially in a world that it's so important that you get your education and you do all the things, because if you don't get your education, then what happens to your life? Like
Yeah,
if you don't go into higher learning, but there's different kinds of learning and different
of
ways to be
course.
successful in life.
Hmm.
Being a carpenter or a plumber, for example, you're really going to need the maths, right? Like
Hmm.
you're really going to need the math. So,
Yeah.
there's different ways. And I think we get stuck in our old patterns, and bringing
Hmm.
the questions forward, I think is a great first step. And then how can you get those answers? Because to your point, really hard to know, but who are the people with the
It is.
answers?
Hmm.
And I do notice too that if a parent is feeling anxious or maybe have their own triggers from like
Hmm.
school was not fun. I
Hmm.
didn't do well in school. I'm feeling intimidated by just coming in here to have that ally with you, whether it's your partner, whether it's, the teacher tutor, for example, that comes along, that we ask for the social worker to be part of the meeting. So you feel like it's a wraparound, not a them
Hmm.
versus you. And
Well, in
somebody
the
there.
comparison too,
Yeah.
right? If you have another child that maybe
Yes.
like learned how, I hear this a lot with parents, well, their older sibling learned how to read at 6. So why
Yeah.
is my ch other child so far behind? And I really encourage parents not to compare,
Yeah.
because two kids are really not the same, whether they share the same genes or not. They could be very different, and it doesn't mean you didn't do something. It just may mean that you just need to adjust, or things need to be adjusted to have it stick more for them than with
Yeah.
your other child. Different approaches. So that's why I would say I would encourage that parent to talk to the teacher, if they're not really providing them with a plan or a clearer picture,
Mhm.
then reaching out to getting additional support if they're able, that one-on-one support with, again, a professional, someone who can help with reading intervention and reading recovery,
Mhm.
because teaching a child how to read is a science.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
making sure that you get someone who knows how to help your child decode and learn to read from the
Yeah.
start.
And there it is again, a different way of learning. And I'm like, what
Mhm.
does that mean? That's
Yeah.
what you do. That's what you went
Yes.
to school for. That's your bag. So that's
Hmm.
amazing. And I think also what I'm just hearing is every child is different.
Yes.
And that comparison, I see that parents say that too to me, right? Like I've got one
Mhm.
child that is so resilient, good kid, gets good grades, and I've got this other kid that is constantly making mistakes and I'm
Mhm.
constantly nagging at them. And, like they're super emotional, like same parents, same kid.
Mhm.
What is going on? Well,
Mhm.
because two children can be very, very different. But the
Mhm.
positive thing is that resiliency can be built, right?
Yes.
And that we have people like you that you have put, this is your life's work. You're available online. The barriers are less and less as we're
Mhm.
moving forward. We're having more conversations. And I think it's fair for a parent to feel like, I'm not quite sure what to do, but
Mhm.
to ask the questions and to seek out the professionals that you trust. That's why I think this is such an important conversation.
Yes, definitely. And it wouldn't be easy. There are sometimes conversations, they're hard, but then once you know, and you can kind of then navigate from there, you'll be a lot further along than sticking your head in the sand, right?
Yes, and I think
So,
that happens a lot where it's like, I don't
mhm.
know, or like we're waiting for crisis, right? We're waiting
Mhm.
for crisis. I see that a lot in our system. It's just the way, as being in Ontario or being in Canada, yeah, we've got healthcare, we've got all the things, but it's usually crisis support. So
Mhm.
prevention, is a lot harder because where do you even
Hmm.
get started? What do I do? My
Hmm.
child doesn't have anything that's diagnosable, so can you help them? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just taking one step forward, and maybe you could end up helping as far as this is where you can go. These are the kinds of things that can be helpful. This is how you advocate at the school. Like so
Hmm.
many things that a parent might feel really nervous about, you can
Hmm.
bring some light into. So that is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there
Mhm.
anything you want to tell me about your business, about yourself, or just a message to parents that are not quite sure what to do and how to support their child that's struggling at school?
Yes, so I would suggest that for parents to be gentle on themselves
Mhm.
and that it does take a village to raise a
Yeah,
child.
it does.
And if they are able to reach out to someone, if it's just becoming, the homework battle is just a lot and you want to protect your peace, then
Yeah.
there are, companies like myself, a team of teachers who
Yeah.
can take that off your plate and also involve you and your child in their learning to make sure that, because confidence is, I know firsthand, I have a stepson, he went from, he has ADD, he went from being super anxious, not wanting to try anything for fear of not being perfect. So I've seen
Yeah.
that firsthand, how awful it is to watch that, where he doesn't even want to pick up a hobby, to now he just, he's into martial arts. He wants to do a video
Yeah.
game design. He wants to try everything, and he
I
is
love
so
that.
confident and he's thriving. So
Yeah.
when you see your child be confident and you
Mhm.
have the ability to help him in or
Mhm.
her or them in
Mhm.
that process, it
Mhm.
can be really awesome to watch.
Yeah.
So it is possible to give your child, if they, have, or if they are neurodivergent or have
Yeah.
ADHD,
Mhm.
to give them the tools. And like you said, resiliency, grit, it is
Yeah.
teachable.
Yes,
It
it
is,
is.
it is available to them. It's just about how you approach it, and everyone
Exactly.
learns differently. It's just learning that, and you don't have to have all the answers. That's
Right.
why we're here.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And I'll put all your links below, but where is the
Great.
easiest way for parents to find you?
So they can go to our website, diamondteachersgroup.ca, and there's the contact there. They can either email or give us a call or text me,
Yeah,
and I can help
wonderful.
them. If you prefer, they can also book a tutor right through our website as well.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
Yay, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being here,
Yes.
for helping my group, but I will be, connecting with you more so we can kind of see how can we support our families more because, raising a child it's not easy. They don't come with a manual. Some kids are more work.
Yes.
So I really like to build my network of trusted professionals, and you are definitely
Likewise.
one of them, Julie. Yeah.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks,
Well, thank
Michelle.
you. My pleasure.